Okay. That and that. Just get myself set up. Hi there. Good. How to stop bad habits right in their tracks. And what we need to see is, where do these habits come from? And I'm going to show you how to multiply the energy that you put into this. And what we're going to open with is, take out a piece of paper. We're going to do 2 exercises. And when you're ready, let's take these exercises. And what I just want you to do is pay attention. Notice the moment of now. So be in a quiet spot where you can pay attention, where you can focus your energy. So when you think about the last 4 days, has your attention been primarily on the past, the present, or the future? If one of them was more than 50%, which one is it? And what number? Write down the number. So past, present, or future, what has your focus been on? And just notice what's there for you as you answer the question, and put what percentage you are of that one. And now as you think about those 4 days, what has been the feeling? Has it been positive or negative? And give it a percentage. What this is to not only notice the bad habits, but to notice our largest habit called life. And that most of us are unaware that we are starting in the wrong structure. And this is to explain the difference so that we can see what's there and choose a new structure or keep the same one. And so what we're doing is to learn how to set up a creative structure, which is, I say, a more powerful structure, where we're turning resistance into tension, turning resistance into tension towards what we want. And so when you think about your bad habit, we're going to go into exercise number 2. Just put those off to the side, those numbers. And exercise number 2, we're going to use the piece of paper. Why do you want to stop this bad habit? Think about this bad habit that had you click and watch, that one that was there for you. It's like, why do you want to stop? And on the right side of your paper, put underneath want. What do you want? When you stop this, like, what do you want? Yeah. Most of it is around like to be healthy, if we're thinking about bad habits that way. So it's like, oh, I choose to be healthy. That's what we want. Not to stop, but rather choose what we want. See, that is the big difference, is where's our starting position is different. Because most of us start here is like, tell me about your problem. Tell me about your habit. What is your bad habit? Why can't you stop? What would happen if you did stop? What would you say? What would others say? What are you hiding from? And so just allow all that can happen with this bad habit. This is everything you've been avoiding. Just allow it to happen. And just observe where you're judging, who you're judging. And just allow it to be. What would they say? I want to be this. Look at your end, your want. I want that. But and just notice that this is resistance. This is why you can't have it. And as soon as you can allow all of this to be possible, to be ways that it could go, so that you are no longer fighting this, you are no longer trying to stop this, you are no longer trying to avoid this, but you allow it to be a possibility. And when you do that, just notice how the feeling is different. This is turning resistance into tension. And so now that you see that these are just possibilities, and then look at all the other possibilities that could be created as well. That's the beginning of the creative. Did you feel that feeling come up into your chest and open up? This is stepping into the creative structure, a higher level from our heart, from our intuition. And that is activated when we've quieted our ego mind and going for what we want. Now choose how you want it to be. Choose your true choice. Say, I choose. If it was a health habit, it's like, rather than stop whatever, it's like, I choose to be healthy. And how would you know you're that? What would you be doing? Build this feeling, this emotion, so that your unconscious, your pattern making, your pattern fulfilling aspect of you knows it's safe to let this go. And it may not be gone the first time, because this is the slowest way. But it is a demonstration of the structure so that you can begin to be aware of our bad habits, that we can observe them, that we can learn how to change them, because here is the secret of how to stop bad habits right in their tracks. And it's most of us have learned, lived, and passed on generation after generation the wrong structure. See, the wrong structure that was sourced from survival, from scarcity, from fighting for, and this has us blind to another choice. And that is why this will be the greatest human development, is awareness of our intuition. That is what we just connected to. We connected to what you want. And this is a creative structure, is starting with what do you want? Feeling that feeling, and then acknowledging what it's like now and the difference between that in the feeling. See, that's where most of us start, are in the feeling, because we've been looking from the past, and the past is just going to mirror the past will create the past in the future. Meaning, we will just keep playing the same patterns over and over again from our past until we learn to change them. And it's to change these big patterns that are like what the first exercise. If you driving forward in your life, looking through the rear view mirror of the past, what are you going to expect and create in the future? More of the same. And if it goes for the future, if you're always looking to the future and you don't have a rear view mirror that's very big, you're always in the future, you're missing out on the present. That's a way that, like, looking back, it'll never be good enough. And on the looking forward, it's never enough. And the feelings that are associated with those two become our dominant patterns. And when we become aware of them, we can put them in focus and learn how to make rapid, fast change so that we change these patterns. And if we're going to change, invest the time, the energy into change, let's go for the biggest ones. Let's go for the one that we're not aware of. That takes a little bit of working through uncertainty. What about that? Questioning into, trying it out for yourself, investing your energy. Investing your energy to multiply the energy you put in. So now that you think about that habit, that bad habit, and all the things that could happen, what is different now? How does it feel different? What is it that you can do today that has you living that true choice, that being in that true choice? How do you know you're making progress towards what you want? This is the obvious action. It's like, what would you do today? What could you do right now that has you living that, being that now? All we're doing here is going against what we think we should do, and not in a forceful way. Because what we're doing how do you know you're in a creative structure? How do you know you're in the right structure? It means you're creating. You're asking questions. You're open. You're as if an artist of life in front of a blank canvas that has no limitations. It's like, oh, maybe I have never experienced that side of it. So, I can't say I've ever not done that. And what we find is, if we do that, if we start to question that, it is uncomfortable because our past patterns don't play that way. They don't go that direction. They say you need to do this because of this situation. And this is where we begin to listen to the difference between resistance and tension. Fear, which is part of resistance, and excitement, passion. We begin to feel and listen for the difference and choose that we can start in a creative structure. We want to start with what we want. What's possible? What can we create? And so it's starting as this artist of all that's possible. And what is it that you would just love to create? because this brings in the aspects and aligns them, and you can create massive change in the unconscious that way. So how do you know you're in the wrong structure? So signs of living in the wrong structure means you're living at the mercy of something out there. The first way to see this is like anything you're afraid of, you're fearful of. So fear is the number one thing for us that is not after harming us. Yeah, like that is a real fear, but fear of speaking, fear of talking to someone, fear of selling, fear of failure, fear of not being ourselves, fear of all of this just comes from our conditioning as a child. And when we begin to listen to the difference between fear and passion, we can see why we can't have them, and we just work to show different perspectives. Was exactly the example we did today. The experience you had today was, what is it that you were not allowing to happen? You were holding on so tightly that you could never allow that to happen. You never asked, what do I want? And when we look at what we want, all these things start to come up that are in the way of why we can't have them. And these are our feelings. That becomes the resistance. And in that resistance, then when we see that, oh, that was just a perspective that we made as a child about that, we can bring in our knowledge today and say, oh, how do we want it to be? How would we choose it? And what we do is you release all of those emotions with that and change the instructions. You allow it to have a new feeling. That is what we did to stop bad habits. This is how we change rapidly. So we have to notice when things are familiar, they're comfortable, because this is what we're unaware of. And to ask, why was I made aware of that? What do I want out of this situation? When we see or feel this bad habit, this limitation, why I can't have it show up, this pattern play, I ask, what do I want? That's shifting. That's a practice of moving out of the wrong structure, from a problem, from a victim, into a creator, a powerful structure. And so then the last thing, last sign to know that you're in a wrong structure is to notice what you're avoiding. We have great reflexes to notice what we're avoiding, for what we won't allow, for what we're resisting. And there's 6,000, like our thoughts are one of them. And it's like we have 6,000 thoughts in a day. Yeah, they can take us anywhere. And so if we're not focusing on what we want, we can create anything else. And that is the world we live in now, because we live from the wrong structure. We live from a structure that we're giving our power away. And we are looking for and searching how to be in a powerful structure, but we aren't allowing ourselves to be it, to see it, because we're letting our old patterns continue to play. So that's how to stop bad habits right in their tracks. And that is the slow way. Let's do an example of the fast way. This is a demonstration of our intuition. It's called our fields of information as humanity. It's as if the instructions of a forest are in a single seed. Where did that come from? It's like in the information of that seed, from the past, from the future, from all the information that's there. It's whether or not we're open and aware to it. And most of us are not. Everyone has intuition, but most don't know how to use it, let alone let it drive. And there is no user manual for our intuition, but there's a lot of used car salespeople wanting to tell you, show you, fix you, or teach you how to drive, how to find your intuition. And it all starts with being in the right structure, a creative structure, which is starting with what you want from a blank canvas and filling it in every day, looking from the present to the future. And this is what I want. This is what I want to create. Listening to the tension and for the resistance so that you can move it and reshape your actions and beliefs in the direction of what you want, because you're teaching your unconscious it's safe to have that. And to do that, it means I have to start with what I want. This goes against. This is not normal. And so in that, it's the wrong structure. We live from fear. So we're listening to this fear and avoiding it. And how do we know we're avoiding it? Is that we're comfortable, it's familiar, it's safe. We entertain ourselves. And what we look at is like, what am I really avoiding here? And that step into it is scary. And so we did an example. It's like just to think about like, oh, what do you want? The first step is to start with what do you want? And then choose it. Because you choose it means that it was a choice, means it was yours, means you're giving the power to your choice in this moment, and you can change it. So I choose, what do you want? Like if you were to stop that bad habit, see, it's like to stop this, to lose weight, right? It's like, I want to just be healthy. What's keeping you? And it's when we can find the true choice, we can set it out there. It's like, oh, now the next hardest part for us is to not only like say, well, what we want, but then to feel that we've already got it. That is, be it to see it. You say, no way, like, no, I can't do that because I have to see it before I can be it. Yes, this is what we've been conditioned. This is the wrong structure. It doesn't have to be this way, because in our mind, we can play it just like it happened out there, and our body doesn't know the difference. That is how these bad habits got in the way anyway. The trick, the secret is how to change these. Not stop them, but how to change them, because they've been learned, lived, and passed on generation after generation, the wrong structure, sourced from survival. So it's like, I understand. And from scarcity, fighting for what's ours. This has us blind to other choices. And this is why this will be the greatest human development. Is the discovery of your intuition. And when you go for what you want, step into the feeling of it. This is engaging your intuition, your truth, the information of the forest from humanity, like what your truth is. And then to feel it means live it, be it, find examples, imagine it, visualize it. The more that you can give your energy to the feeling of this, the more likely it is to be created. The more you focus in this feeling, you become this feeling, you have it now, and it's easy to create. When we are living from a powerful structure, from the right structure, which is not the structure we find ourselves in today. So as you think about that end result, why can't you have it? Why can't you have this true choice? What beliefs about yourself? What would people judge about you? And why won't the world let you have it? This is unpacking. This is letting go of that. Why don't we have it now? The feeling between there, bringing it all out so that it's in the active experience, and we can set up a process. When you give me permission, we can move these blocks out of the way Oh, I want that end result, but what conflicts do you have? Oh, I want to be that, but then who would you become? Who would you be? You finally have it, then what? And as you think about this resistance, the resistance to having that end result, what number? How heavy does it feel? How easy does it move? A 0, there is no friction. There is no resistance. It just flows. And 10 is it's stuck in the mud. Wow, how heavy? What resistance number do you give yours? This is just your measurement. And so as you this is called the RECODE. And we set up a creative structure, brought forth the resistance. And the resistance is just what you have created to keep you from going down this path. See, at one point, you were hurt going for what you wanted. You were afraid, you got scared, you got hurt. And so the unconscious as a child put up boulders that's going to keep you from going here. And that boulder is called resistance. Means you want to avoid it, want to go from it. Fear is a big one. All this is aspects or stories, emotions that are trapped in these memories. And just like what we did earlier is that when we put attention on them, we can free them. Well, we're going to use the intuition aspect of you, which was present when all blocks were put in place. This intuition, this powerful aspect of you, is the information of the forest, of humanity, of nature, of whatever we go into, whatever we put focus on, allows it to come through the intuition. And the intuition was there when the block was recreated and can bring the memory back to what needs to be released. So the genius, the intuition aspect of you is helping treat the unconscious aspect of you by releasing the emotion. And this emotion that was trapped, that would always trigger when that specific moment came up, it would pull you out to here and you had no control. You just responded that way and you responded with bad habits. Now, why this is scary, why we don't want this, why aspects of us avoid this, because we've all, like they've been wanting to be hidden. They don't want to be found out. They don't want to die. And what we usually find out is that when we give them different perspectives, they can join up with the treatment team. They can join up with the other aspects and become in alignment. As we pull off more and more of this resistance, allowing you to flow towards what you want. And so if you think about a metaphor, think about your life driving a car. You are in the passenger. You are the driver. And you're going to drive all the way through time. And we're going to start at the beginning. And as you notice, you're in the car, which is your body, you have a passenger. And this passenger is Sue. Sue is the forest, the information. It's all information that's available. And of course, is aspect of you that is the passenger in the front seat with you. She is just there for the journey. Knows that you are powerful and can make any choice you want. And so is just there for the experience. Is just there to create. And when passion around creating, going for what you love is what excites Sue, she helps you create. She opens up possibilities and she works with other aspects of you to get them in alignment. But you have to engage and ask for, because Sue just assumes that you're powerful and can choose whatever you want. doesn't quite understand the ego. We're going to pick up that partner. We're going to pick up that passenger when you're about 2 to 4. That one fills up in the car. And so as you go along, that was like at the conception, you realize it's like, oh, look, Sue's with me and been there the whole time. Now we go forward 6 months as you're in the womb developing, and all of a sudden we pick up Bob. Bob is our unconscious, our subconscious. Bob is our patterns, is our automatic. Bob is our feelings. And we see Bob as we're driving forward in our car, looking out the front window. We see Bob anytime we look in the rearview mirror, looking towards the past. Do we see Bob? Oh, and Bob is part of the car as well, but Bob is the brake and the gas. Oh, he's the steering wheel too. But as you're driving, you think you have control until something out there has Bob take over and you're no longer in control. But Bob is always there, and Bob's always telling you how it's always been, and Bob is there to keep you safe. Change is not safe because the unconscious here, Bob, only knows its past experiences. And it never forgets anything, so it always knows what things look like and has a great memory of what to do by putting feelings in the way. But see, Sue was also there as all these feelings were put in. And so as you're developing from the 3rd trimester to 2, you come out, boom, you're there. It's you and Sue are working, and the ego is coming into existence. The ego is the word. So as you begin to put the words together to your emotions and your feelings to your life, you start to put words to it. You start to comprehend. You're going to start making up stories, perspectives, beliefs, how things are. And no one can control them but you. Yet you're just a child learning from the patterns, from what people tell you, giving your power to everything out there because you are not powerful enough. And we go through life this way, not realizing our passengers, not realizing the power we have, and that the ego basically comes in and takes over control of the steering wheel, and some never get out of that. So what we go for is when we put what we want at the end of the field, this resistance pops up onto the playing field and makes mounds that make it difficult, that makes this smooth playing field now rough. And all of the resistance, all the vampires, all the beliefs, the limitations of why you can't have that come out on the football field. And Sue, your unconscious, your intuition sees this from your unconscious, and this is releasing these emotions. But they have to see something new before they'll be released. And that is a new perspective. So that child sees a new perspective, can release these trapped emotions. The slow way is to continue to focus on each one. And the fast way is to use the superconscious to bring in the necessary instructions to make the massive change, to make rapid change. And so change happens of what we don't even put in focus. But it is limited to what is only safe and treatable today. Meaning sometimes these real difficult, these bad habits, these actors take a while to unwind. And when you give me permission to connect to your superconscious, your intuition, your field, all I sense is what I feel, what you're feeling, what your field is communicating into my field. And we look at treatment from that point of view. So that is what you give permission to, giving permission to connect to your field of information, to provide and guide you, your superconscious, your intuition, just to greater pleasure and decreased pain. That is the direction for a higher service, higher good. And so I give Jesse permission And if you don't want to give me permission, you're good to know and just observe the process. Just hold space in a creative structure. So I'll just like, do you give me permission? You can say, I give Jesse permission. Just energetically do it. Thank you. And just welcome it all in. I find that if you close your eyes, you can quiet your ego. That's just what we're doing, is quieting that, and just notice yourself in the moment of now. Take a deep breath in and just become aware of your body. Allowing all that we've talked about to just absorb. We asked the parts to be part of the treatment team today. Yeah. There might be a fear of dying. All we're doing is just releasing trapped emotions for increased satisfaction. These parts will want new upgrades, and that is what we create going forward. It'll be different. It'll be scary. It'll be new, but there's nothing to be afraid of. So superconscious, are you there? And for you is just to quiet the ego, which is the judger, the blamer, the prover, the skeptic. Just try and calm it, just to know that it's there, and just say that you're safe. And that it's in increasing pleasure, decreasing pain. Superconscious, is it safe to pick a practice issue today, a habit that we can put in place to experience a recode? Yeah, this is something that we're afraid of, fearful of, we can't allow, we don't want to exist. See this choice that can we use this choice? Yes or no? If not, please put in an appropriate choice for this. Thank you. There we go. Now just choose that. I choose. And imagine it, choose it. Superconscious, you see all the reasons we can't have this, all the stories. Just feel it in your body. Imagine what the feeling is and what you're seeing. Superconscious, all the limitations around this desire, this want. Just put all that resistance into an ice cube and just weigh it. Feel that number that you wrote down. Make sure all that resistance is in there. Oh, I want this, but what does mom and dad say? What does the family say? What does your sister say? Notice what you really want out of this. You want to be seen. You want to be heard. What do you need? Superconscious, just notice it when I take and treat. I want this, but notice what's not safe. Notice what happens when you have it. Subconscious, just look at the judgments, how you beat yourself up, put yourself down, limit your power. Just unpack all that's inside of that. All that I'm not worthy, I'm not important, I can't be seen. Just all the feelings, all the stories, all the habits and patterns that are associated. All that's safe today. Just see superconscious, you see survival, fighting for survival, scarcity, not enough to go around. Superconscious, let's see it's safe there. Superconscious, do a massive change history. Transformational recode. Releasing, thanking all these parts for holding on to this contract, to this memory. They've done so good. It's time for an upgrade, these aspects. It's time for something new, new orders. Superconscious, as these resistance just starts to melt out of this ice cube, becomes release and allow the tension, resistance to just drop away. And now begin to turn focus on what it is that you do want. How would that be? Begin to create. What would you be doing? How would you know you had it? What would you just love to do now that you have it? Superconscious, any resistance to this, to having this, to being this, guilt, can't have it, what others would say. Oh, I'd finally be seen, then who would I be? They would see me for all my others. Superconscious, just do a massive recode, transformational recode of all the limitations, limiting beliefs, sabotaging beliefs of why I can't have that. Superconscious, just allow all those aspects to come together to see each other into this resistance, meet each other, know that they're going for the same thing. And just allow the peace to come in. Superconscious, you will continue to work as you see these aspects come up. If you see these patterns, continue to treat over the next week, until the next sessions, till the next recode, until the next situations. Good. Take your time, come on back. Write in the chat box what that was like for you. That was a RECODE session. That was an example of fast change. Is that what you expected change to be like? This is how to stop our bad habits right in their tracks. But we have to be aware of them. We have to be aware of our biggest patterns. And to be aware of them is through our feelings. So that when we see that it's resistance, we know that we're in a problem solving, a victim, the wrong structure. And that we can change it to be intention. Intention with what do we want is usually the opposite of what we're avoiding. It's like, what do we want? What do I want? Just because I love it, because we can be fooled with what do we want is fulfilling our egoic agenda, which is what we've made up as a child of what it meant to be successful in this world. They may not be in alignment with what our true choices are, with our true self, with our intuition, with our passion. And that might be why many of us are living and seeking something different. Change. And how to change. See, the secret lies in what we're aware of, what we observe. And it's observing in our feelings. What are our feelings telling us? What am I listening to? Because most of us have learned and just been passed down generation after generation the wrong structure. Hard work, survival, sourced from scarcity, which is why we are blind to it. We don't see that there's another choice. and why this will be the greatest human development. Connecting, communicating, living with our intuition. And that's how to stop bad habits right in their tracks.